Good evening to all who may be watching this, and good evening to many of you who are watching this later. Just wanted to come in and really go over something, a mistake that I made. That was yesterday for the live stream, and then in the subsequent clip that I had created. There's times where a lot of, we all mess up. We all do something wrong in our lives. And I also wanted to use this as a teachable moment. When you make a mistake as an adult, you own up to that mistake, you acknowledge the mistake and the hurt that you may have caused. And then you make steps to change, to reset, or in a sense repent and turn around from the error that you have made. And that's the reason for this clip here. So what did I do? Let's go and share with you guys exactly what I did and why what I did was wrong. So this is from the clip earlier today. And let's show what I did wrong. And let me explain to you why what I did was wrong. So let's go. I simply cannot dictate what it's like to have PTSD due to war. I don't know what that's like. So I can't delegitimize his feelings like that. One thing I will say, though, is that there's always a chance of stuff like this coming up as a campaign manager. My question is, why take the job in the first place if you know stuff like this may come up internationally? Because this stuff has been happening off and on for years. And of course, this stuff would happen while a presidential campaign happens. So my question to Mr. Daou would be, why did you take the job in the first place if there's a possibility that your PTSD could be triggered when it comes to stuff like this? Why not just give it to somebody else? That was ableism. That was an example of me, a disabled person, showing my internalized ableism. Unfortunately, I'm not perfect. And so things like this come up and mistakes like this happen. And so when it comes to statements like that, why is it wrong? Because when it comes to saying, well, if you knew you couldn't do it, then why take the job? It's like, well, he thought he could, number one. Number two, before all this happened, he was able to do it. And his value should not be dictated by what he produces, but his value should be inherent. Whatever you may feel about somebody like Peter Daou, whatever mistakes or transgressions he's made in the past, still a human being. still has inherent value. And so one of the things that I wanted to emphasize, and this is from a friend, so I hope she doesn't mind me reading this piece of our correspondence together, because when it comes to someone pointing out a transgression that you have made, I think one of the best things for us to do is to get a third party involved to see whether it holds weight or not. For somebody to have a view of, I'm not party to this, but I'm on the outside looking in and judge I'm sorry. Well, critically, yes, but unbiased if I was wrong or not. So, my friend, shout out to you. She said, capitalism says our worth is based on our ability to produce. You judged Peter and asked why take the job, why strive to produce when you're going to fall apart. Thing is that there are many of us who are able to do jobs in certain ways, certain realms, but something happens and then we're unable to do it. I can't fault him for taking a job, you know, especially because he, in his heart of hearts, wanted to, help somebody that he greatly respected. And so a lot of us who are disabled, we may end up taking a job and we may end up having to leave because of certain things. Some unforeseen things. And so to Peter, I definitely apologize. I'm sincerely apologizing to you because I don't like when people do stuff like that to me. So I don't want to do it to others, My reasoning for saying such a thing wasn't rooted in ableism. My reasoning was looking at it from a perspective of limitations, right? Like I, as a disabled person, have limitations. And so I have to recognize those limitations and I maneuver through life with those limitations, right? But like I said yesterday, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And even though my intentions weren't to be ableist, I still came off as ableist. And for that, I am sorry. Now, of course, I got called out by uh, Peter Daou's wife, Leela. And instead of becoming, well, I hope I say, I didn't come off as defensive because that's something that we're typically, that's the first response, right? When somebody says you did something wrong, is we become defensive. And I hope I did not do that. Leela Daou said, she quoted me. She said, why take the job in the first place if there's a possibility your PTSD could be triggered? She said, shameful ableism disguised as analysis. You are better than this, Jay. I responded and said it was not my intention to come off as ableist or ableist in my commentary. For that, I apologize to Peter Daou and you. I was thinking about the limitations that disabled people like us face, having to judge positions we take based on said limitations, I'm sorry. So my intention was based on my personal experience and gauging my limitations based on my disability. Now, I do not have PTSD, and it's something I wouldn't wish upon someone. That being said, I messed up. And moving forward, I will do my very best to be as careful as possible regarding this. Now, this is a teachable moment in what way? That just because we have a certain hat of identity on doesn't mean we still can't be in what's the word I'm looking for? In a we can't it doesn't mean that we can't be in a bigoted position. Hear me out. So even though I'm disabled, I can still have internalized ableism. Just because I'm gay doesn't mean I can't have internalized homophobia. Just because I'm black doesn't mean I can't have internalized white supremacy. See what I mean? And this is a part of decolonizing your mind. The decolonization means that you're taking these things that are capitalist in nature and you're trying to throw them away, right? The statement that I made yesterday was wrong and it shouldn't have happened. And so this is still some of those elements that still resides inside me, right? That I have to decouple from who I am. And as a communist, I have this work to do, just like every single one of you have this work to do. So that's why I wanted to bring attention to this. And even though I did apologize through my tweet, my statements were made in a video like this. So therefore, I need to also make the correction and apology also in the same form and format that I made the transgression. That's just and that's fair. So I hope that this makes it to Peter and his wife Leela. And whatever disagreements that may come about, I hope they are rooted in the disagreements on the facts and the material. If there's any disagreements at all, or agreements, but also that they are devoid of any type of bigotry or prejudice, even if it is not intended. I hope it's devoid of that. And as an imperfect person and deeply imperfect person that I am, I hope that you can accept my apology. But if you don't, that's okay too. Because whether you accept it or not is something within your own heart. It is not and just for people who are watching, it is not the obligation of the person who is apologized to accept that apology either. It's just not. Because the transgression wasn't made by them, so therefore there's no obligation on them. But the obligation is on me who made the transgression to apologize to acknowledge the mistake made and to turn around and make sure that that mistake doesn't happen again. Now, I will work hard as I can to make sure it doesn't happen again. I can't say whether it will or won't, but as a person who is more cognizant of this now, what I'll do is work to make sure that it doesn't happen again. Because that's what being a decent human being is about. That's what being kind is about. It's not just kindness as in if somebody transgresses against you, but showing kindness also means if you transgress against somebody else, that you're quick to apologize, quick to reform, quick to acknowledge your mistake, and try to be a better person, the best version of yourself moving forward. So, sincerest apologies to Peter Daou and apologies to his wife, Leela. And so I wish you all the best. I wish you peace because I don't know what it's like to have PTSD, but I know that is extremely difficult for a lot of people, especially people who come from areas that are ravaged by war. And yeah, so water your plants, water yourselves. Please make sure to leave the world better than you found it. So yeah, have a great day, folks.